Hello, I am Aviva Lee in Jerusalem, reporting live for Israel 24/6 TV. Welcome to this edition of Fact Without Commentary for the Friday afternoon recap of military activity undertaken this week by the sovereign state of Israel in the fight against terrorism. This edition of Fact Without Commentary is based solely upon written statements from the IDF official spokesperson. Those were received this week. The Israel Defense Forces yesterday, January 3rd, engaged in a military operation in which civilians in the southern Gaza Strip were injured. The Israel Defense Force clarified the chain of events which resulted in those civilian injuries. Armed gunmen entrenched themselves in a residential home situated in the southern Gaza Strip, near a location where IDF soldiers were in fact already carrying out military operations against terrorist operatives in the southern Gaza Strip. Those same gunmen fired heavily at the soldiers from within the residential home. The munitions used were small arms and several anti-tank missiles. Israel's military response to this threat included tank fire directed at the source of the launching of the missiles. The military's defensive response resulted in the death of 2 armed gunmen and 2 female civilians who were also in the building. The Israel Defense Force states with total clarity that all deaths associated with their military response on this occasion lies entirely with the gunmen who operated intentionally from a civilian domicile. Also yesterday, the Israel Defense Forces carried out an aerial attack against a post of the Hamas terrorist organization in the southern Gaza Strip. It has been confirmed that this was a military operation in response to the continued launching of Qassam rockets and mortar shells. These munitions are being continually launched at Israeli communities in the western Negev, including a Grad Katyusha rocket which was launched and hit the city of Ashkelon within the sovereign state of Israel yesterday morning. Also yesterday, the IDF spokesperson made the following confirmation in writing. 10 hostile combatants operating in the Gaza Strip were hit yesterday, the 3rd of January 2008. Military units from Israel's Infantry Corps, Armored Corps, Combat Engineering, and Air Force were carrying out assigned military operations on the night of January 2nd, 2008. The soldiers were specifically assigned to carry out maneuvers within the southern Gaza Strip. The purpose of this joint military operation was, and I quote, to distance terror organizations, particularly Hamas, from the security fence and to operate against the firing of Qassam rockets and mortar shells into Israel. Armed gunmen approached IDF forces and opened fire at them, several instances in clashes that erupted during the activity. The forces responded with fire from the air and from the ground. 7 gunmen were killed consequently. End quote. To quote further, during the day, IDF targeted 4 Islamic Jihad and Hamas terror organizations' structures in the Gaza Strip, including an Islamic Jihad weapons warehouse in Gaza City, an Islamic Jihad terror operatives structure in the central Gaza Strip, a Hamas structure within the southern Gaza Strip, and a Hamas post in the southern Gaza Strip. End quote. And furthermore, throughout the day of the 3rd of January 2008, hostile combatants operating within the Gaza Strip fired over 25 mortar shells, 6 Qassam rockets, and a Grad Katyusha rocket from the Gaza Strip into the sovereign state of Israel, and throughout the week approximately 30 hostile combatants were identified as being hit in response to their violence perpetrated against the Israel Defense Forces and the citizens of the sovereign state of Israel. And that concludes this Friday afternoon recap of Israel's military response to terrorism this week. I am Aviva Lee, reporting live in Jerusalem from room 903 for Israel 24/6 TV. Thank you for listening, and Shabbat Shalom.